All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is the Renown Revenue Cycle Roundup. And let's get ready for the roundup. I am so excited. Oh my goodness, have so much good stuff to share with you. We have a fantastic speaker. That person is going to be bringing 35 plus years of experience to the table, helping us understand not just revenue cycle or coding, but how that relates to a hospital, their management, what a lot of the big topics are, and of course we're going to have a little Q&A section for that person. So I am very excited, and I want to go ahead and get started because that's what's going to be able to help us and the folks that are going to be watching the recording of this to just catch up. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if you are not familiar with the Renown revenue cycle roundup, this is going to be a bi-weekly meeting, at least for now, on LinkedIn Live, where we talk about revenue cycle, we can network, we can share opportunities, and also learn a lot more from subject matter experts within our field. And I've had the pleasure of working with a staffing company and staffing companies supporting hospitals all across the country. And I am not saying that I have special access to individuals. I certainly do not. But I think I do have a very unique perspective on a lot of the podcasts and shows and the media that we have out within our industry. It seems like it's a lot of medical coding geared or generated, and that's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to have a place that we can have something that be a lot more interactive that can help people, whether that be entry level experience, even vendors to come on and for them to share what they may be able to bring to the table, as well as just network and share jobs and opportunities. Definitely want to pay it forward. And even in me running my own staffing agency, I've also referred people to recruiters and people within my network. I believe and I have this very strange philosophy that maybe I can't help somebody right now, but or directly, but maybe I can kind of help them get connected with another person. And then from that, maybe that can turn out to referrals or business opportunities in the future. So I always just love paying it forward because there was always that mentor and that person that helped us get started. And I'm not too sure if you viewed our episode on the 6th. We had Victoria Mole. It was fantastic. Definitely went over an hour, but there was just so much good information shared in that, and a lot of you did sign up. I think we have around 3 times the amount of signups from that last one. So we had it live around like 27 to 30 people. For this one, we had around 90 people that already signed up to show. And I know from that, we're going to have additional people. Somebody emailed me earlier today, say, Bertram, I can't watch it live. I'll watch the recording, but I'm going to be listening because I have to be doing work. I'm going to be picking up my kids. I'm getting all these emails and these messages. Any way that you can digest and also refer back to this is going to be fantastic. Okay. So today we have congratulations are in order. I did not think it was going to happen this fast, but it has taken place. I was on a LinkedIn Live just sharing career opportunities that my company, Renown Talent, is working on. And somebody chimed in to share great news. And they said that they had a big announcement. They're now going to be a billing and coding specialist for a great company. Start date is in 2 weeks, and followed a lot of the advice I was shared during the social media related and more geared episode that we had on the 6th. And, wanted to say thank me so much. And, I told that person, you can go back to that one as well, like it's not even me or Victoria or what we shared on that call. It was more about you taking action. So as much as we love to take credit for that, it's all about you applying these tips and reaching out to your network and really branching out. And since this person was one of the first to go ahead and get hired utilizing some of the tips that they learned on the roundup, I am looking to have that person featured as a guest speaker within the next couple months. So my game plan is to not blow this person up. My game plan is for that individual to get started on their job. They're going through onboarding right now, so they got to do their background check, all this fun stuff. We don't want to disturb this person and their shine. If you know who that person is, send them congratulations. But you know what? Let's allow them to start, and then they can help us, because from what I saw, how this person was moving and networking, it really made the world a difference. Okay. And that has brought me to this. I think as a mission, and if we are going to be getting together bi-weekly or even possibly weekly, let's try our best in a short period amount of time to get 100 revenue cycle professionals hired. Okay. Let's have a mission and a goal. We're coming together to help people get hired. And yes, it may not necessarily be directly from the roundup on an opportunity shared, but maybe since you were listening to the roundup, it encouraged you to go out and apply. It encouraged you to, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm too focused on billing. Maybe I should dip myself in coding. Maybe I can do HCC. Maybe I can do something a little bit different. Or I didn't know that person, or I connected with that person. And I can tell you, people that are very successful, they usually don't just focus in on one channel and not a niche. A niche essentially could be like medical coding, for example, right? But they don't just hone themselves in and say, hey, I have to do this. What they usually do, they'll say, hey, I want to get started. I want to like start my path, my journey. And along that journey, you'll usually meet people. It's almost like Lord of the Rings when it comes to careers. You're going to meet people along the way that are going to help you. So when you get to the final destination, you got this big boss in front of you. It's usually not just you and the big boss. You have all of this knowledge. You have all these mentors. You have all these people that are going to be able to help and support you. And I think that's what it's all about. So our mission as getting together is to help 100 people. And possibly once we get 100 people and they've confirmed that they've been hired, let's go out again and let's raise that to 250, 500. But I think that can definitely be a mission. So far, we have one person hired. Okay. The challenge. I see that there's a very big opportunity for us to have this going from bi-weekly to weekly. Okay. So if that is something that is relevant to you, or if you're like Bertram, I would like to get the roundup more often. I like hearing about these jobs and opportunities. From the speaker list that I have in mind, I can definitely have something be weekly, meaning we can probably have at least 50 different speakers. Even if a speaker can't make it or something happens last minute, there's tons of stuff that I would love to share with you. But I need to be courteous of the audience, right? I also do speaking engagements as well, so I don't just want it to be all on me. I want to share the spotlight with as many people as possible. So if you would like for us to have this go from being bi-weekly to weekly, spread the word, right? Share with your friends, share with your network, get your coworkers, get them to come on. Hey, say, hey, it's your lunch. So let's say you're Pacific time, right? It's lunch in Florida, for example. But you know what? Let's sign on or let's work out our hours that we can take this time. Boss, everybody knows, so we can participate. Because why are you getting on this roundup? Because we want to help Bertram and everybody in our industry get 100 people hired. But if we can get to 250 live attendees, we're going to bring this not just from biweekly, but go ahead to weekly, because I definitely know that we can do it. Okay. So my comments have been closed for a reason, because I know once I get into the comments, like I'm going to be all on it. So let's go, really quickly. So, so Rebecca, it's all about us doing something weekly. All right. And for sure, we're gonna need some more entry level positions, but I'm telling you, they're coming. All right, so hang in there. Those entry level positions are coming. It's essentially what I am calling or dubbing entry level coding season. It's coming up here very quickly. Revka says that she loves the Lord of the Ring reference. You can geek out a little bit. And Charlene says that she loves what we are doing. And believe me, it's not just me, it's you as well. You participating, you coming on here. When I told my wife about this idea, she's like, honey, you're crazy. Like why are you gonna be like bringing people together to get hired? I'm like, we're missing this. I hated going to the conferences, ladies and gentlemen, and I miss the directors. I would miss them. Or they're like, hey Bertram, I'm gonna go. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna meet them around this time, all of this stuff, and I'm texting them and like, Bertram, I couldn't make it. And what I realized, what we need more points of interaction. We need something to happen more often. Chapter meetings, all that stuff is fantastic, but where can we just get a chance to network and share that we're open for opportunities? Vendors, like you don't have to pay $1,000 to come and say that you're offering these services, because there are a lot of decision makers on here as well. So thank you for all the wonderful comments. A lot of hellos and highs in the comments as well. Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining. Um, I have you in mind for the next slide as well as a few others. Okay, all right. So Tracy, we're not weekly just yet, but let's get to 250 50 live attendees. And once again, my live attendee thing is not showing. So I'm not too sure what I have to do to fix that. But if somebody would like to comment and just let us know how many people we have on right now through LinkedIn Live, that would be fantastic. All right. So today we're going to jump into more about revenue cycle management and how hospitals work, what their worries are, whether that be denials or payers or what that all is. So Jeff Strader is going to give us great insight into that. Okay. From there, we're going to go immediately to sharing more about jobs and opportunities. We have the Ask Mr. B section where we're going to be able to talk about resumes and hiring. I do have a question I'm going to bring each and every week, but maybe if there's a question or two that I can answer live, that's fantastic. Also, feel free to message me. If I'm not able to get to your question or if you need some more personal assistance, feel free to reach out. I don't have a resume writing service, like those kinds of things, but if you like a critique or something, maybe we can work together and get that done for you, because as I said, it's all about being able to help out. And this is trying my best to limit it to an hour. But if we go a little bit over that, that's absolutely fine. But let's say if we get like 100 questions, we can't answer all those questions. So we may have to take some of that stuff offline. Okay. And then we're going to have the candidate showcase. Very excited for this, because this week, what we're going to do is we are going to allow you to let us know if you're a candidate, if you're a vendor, speaker, um, or an employer, recruiter, for example, and you're looking to hire, you're looking to get hired. I have the format in the next slide, and you're going to be able to share with us exactly what you're looking for. Okay, cool. So the networking format, and I wanted to give this to everyone early enough. Oh, sorry. I wanted to give this to everyone early enough. So you're going to be able to show us if you are a candidate, employer, subject matter expert, or vendor, recruiter as well. And then have your name, state and city, your skill set, credentials, years of experience, and email address. Super important, because this is going to allow each and every one of us to network and just share our information. These lives are also being recorded. Fantastic thing about that is I'm also going to share this with recruiters and people that I know, and let them know, like, from the 40th minute, there are a bunch of candidates that are looking for jobs and opportunities. Okay, so if you would give me a minute, let me get to this slide offline. I can't do it here because when I do that, it goes to the next slide. So let me get to this offline, so each and every one of you can go ahead and copy and paste that and work on it. So I would not recommend for you to do that right now. If you want to, let's say you have to jump or something like that, that's absolutely fine. But you would probably want to do it towards the end, or when we have the candidate showcase. Okay. So once again, the format right now is in the comments. As for the candidate showcase, go ahead, and while Jeff and I are speaking and we're learning more about hospital management, go ahead and update. I call it a sizzle. We call it a sizzle in staffing, this little snapshot of your background. Go ahead and update it. And when we come to the candidate showcase, go ahead and post it, and then I'll bring you up and I'll let your recruiters, people know, give you a little shout out. Fantastic thing about that is you are getting the shine, and that is allowing you to market yourself. Any recruiters that will come back to this recording will go ahead and say, oh, wow, I am looking for a revenue cycle manager. I'm looking for an HCC coder. Sarah, thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for the update as to the numbers. I appreciate you guys and ladies doing that for us. But yeah, we're gonna be able to do that. Okay. So the format is in the comments. Hopefully you can see it, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce Jeff. So Jeff has worked within HI management and also in privacy for large and small healthcare organizations, 18 plus years working with nonprofits, as well as large health systems. So the most a recent one, 15 hospitals, clinics, urgent care, surgical centers, 10 years at Laguna Medical Systems as a senior coding consultant slash manager, in the last 3 years in interim HRM management. So I've been speaking a lot about how things have changed with the financials of hospitals, have denials and payers have become a big thing. Jeff and I connected, as you can imagine, through LinkedIn, and after our first roundup, he connected and he's like, Bertram, like, wow, like, I think this would be like a fantastic idea. And I was like, well, why don't you be a guest speaker? So from there, we were able to get him scheduled. So Jeff, you are live. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Doing all right. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. So, Jeff, I identified you as somebody being renowned within HIM management. And it's fantastic because we are very siloed. For example, a medical coder will likely talk to a coding manager. But
Right.
you, as an HIM director, who are you possibly talking to? C-suite, CFO, right? You're talking to these individuals, and I've worked with some of these individuals, and it's a different beast. It's more than just coding. It's more than just accuracy.
Right.
So I wanted to bring you on board. So thank you for coming. Welcome to the roundup, and we definitely look forward to learning a lot more about you and from you. So Jeff, let's dive into it. You know, what may be some of the headaches or pain points right now, like 2023? What are some of the major pain points that hospitals are facing and that you as an HRM director, or they're bringing you in as the interim HRM director, are having to face and help them, go through those challenges?
Well, there are a lot, and there are certain areas that each one of you, I'll give resources throughout my talk
Okay.
because there is something to rely on always. All you have to open up and you can get online and see it is Becker's Hospital Review.
Yep.
Every day you see hospitals failing, changing, CO, merges, so on and so forth. But within that, why is this happening? What's the
Hmm.
stress levels? Bertram, you hit on it. Well, I'll go back a little bit. We've just come through at this point pandemic um,
Yes.
that has really affected a lot of hospitals. In particular, community or smaller hospitals. We call them critical access. I don't know what
Okay.
CAHs that you have, 25 beds or less, usually in rural communities. Um, they seem to be failing at a higher rate than your larger counterparts. Why? Because some of those things that happened before the pandemic were just amplified or just the problems that they had were even created worse during that time. And why? There's another why. Because the procedures they could do, especially things like orthopedic procedures, they couldn't
Hmm.
do during the pandemic. Those were elective. Things like hips and knees, um, more things. Those traditionally have been, lack of a better term, could be money makers for that hospital. There's lots of revenue streams for the hospital and services they provide. And in that, the struggles they found out during the pandemic, it just, like I say, it amplified what those problems were. I would say before, there's a term the CFO always talked about. And I wanted to enlighten folks on that. And
Yes.
that is called operating margin.
Mm.
Well, what is that? You don't have to be an accountant to understand. This is a um, way you look at your operations. What are your costs? What are your expenses? And then what are your revenues? I talk about a balance sheet or whatever. And usually at the end of the day, especially monthly, quarterly, yearly, they're looking at that. Okay, what does it cost us to operate this hospital, this healthcare system, and what is our revenue streams bringing in to do that
Hmm.
and provide the services we have a great mission, vision, and values for? As one of my CFOs in the past said, she goes, you can have the greatest mission, vision, values in your organization, but if you have an operation margin back then was probably, oh gosh, if you're anywhere between 3 and 5%, maybe higher, that was wonderful because
Okay.
that really transposes into millions of dollars for any organization, small or large.
Hmm.
And you're in the black, so to speak, not in the red. You're in the black. You're making money for keeping that mission alive and services provided and equipment made, purchased. But he would say, you have those mission, but
Hmm.
it bottom line was no margin, no mission. You
Yeah.
don't have a good margin, you're not making money, you're losing money on a monthly, and that's what these hospitals are up against
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they really have a lot of problem with being able to keep that margin good and keep that above line and in the black.
And I would say for folks to understand how their job is really effective and applies to that is, if you're in coding, billing, collections, even, intake and making sure that you get the person's correct information, insurance verification, the credentialing, all of that helps within the revenue cycle because then we are hoping for there to be a clear path to process that revenue. And one thing I like to share with you, and I don't know if this is for everywhere, but I did learn that also revenue cycle tends to be the second largest expense for a lot of health systems,
Yeah.
meaning second to clinical, so doctors, nurses, equipment, all of that stuff. I would have thought like facilities or something like that, but
Sure.
it's revenue cycle, meaning the investment that they have to spend to make sure that they're getting the most from it. So that's why coding accuracy comes in and all of that stuff. So, we have a highlight right now more on HI management and
Right.
of course at the C-suite, but don't believe that your jobs are not important too. They're extremely important. I mean, without revenue cycle, everything would break down. And
Nope.
when you talk about mission, we have to also understand that a lot of hospitals grew, open because they want it to be, let's say, a religious base, free care for everybody, or a community based. But as you said, no margin, no mission. Like, how can you serve if you are not able to get reimbursed or at least pay for the ways that you have to serve people? So, absolutely.
Well, and I'll go in. You can see I've got a little age on me. So I call it very experienced, of course, and time. And I think that's my advantage. And I see things in a different perspective than maybe somebody starting out in a career. But I
Yes.
can also reach back and know here's what it's like. I remember what it was like for me. I know it was a different time, but some of these apply today of what I
Hmm.
know to get, as you've talked about, Bertram, your career ladder. Well, how do I get in? What experience? And so HIM management, the revenue cycle, knowing more about things that, assessing, evaluating, where do you want to go? Where do you want to
Hmm.
be? What type of facility do you want to be with? Where have you heard that? There takes some time. And I always use the word research. I mean, if you really want to find where you want to be, it takes a little research. Not a
Hmm.
lot, but heck, Google tells you everything, right? You can go on Google and find out about every thing you want.
Yes.
But but I think for the new coders again and new folks, they're like, well, how do I get experience? How do I get in? I think that's
Yes.
you've hit on a lot. When I get told I don't have experience, I don't have it. Well, you start managing your network. And how do you do that? Well, some of that is by not just sending your resume, not by just emailing folks. Bertram and I had a conversation yesterday about it, and I thought, wow, it's turned around since social media, since other things. It's like
Hmm.
everything's virtual. We can do WebExes like today, we can do
Hmm.
whatever. But in my mind, but again, I'm an old guy and a boomer. If you come to my door and you are dressed and show that you have something, I don't know if I don't have a job, I may not. But if you present yourself in a manner and you have knowledge of what you
Hmm.
want to do and go, maybe you don't have the experience. I'm not saying you're
Yes.
experienced. And you show that initiative, to me that means something. And I'm going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
remember it. And I think most people would.
So what Jeff is referring to is outside of us worrying about, COVID and people getting sick and these kinds of things. Of course, if you're sick, you're not going to go anywhere, right? You
No.
shouldn't. But what he's referring to is we have gotten so comfortable with online applications, it's hard for you to be renowned or stand out just with that. So what we talked about most recently is, taking the initiative, getting in your best dress, going down to that employer, maybe seeing if you could speak to somebody from the hiring team or even just in HR and just let them know like, hey, I am Bertram. Here's a copy of my resume. I just wanted to drop this off. And also, my mom made a whole bunch of extra cookies. They're going to go bad. Here's some cookies. Here's a little something. Thank you so much. And just leaving that there. Even if you don't get hired, amazing things happen, and this is where the networking comes in. That hiring manager, maybe you're not a good fit or whatever, but guess what? Great people know great people. So they may know other offices, other employers, or other managers, maybe at their local meeting and say, hey, I had this person that came in and I don't have a job for them, but they were so nice to stop by, introduce themselves, dropped off some cookies. I'm like, this person's going above and beyond because they're taking the initiative. I may not do this at a hospital because a lot of hospitals won't even let you in the front door right now. But depending on the employer, or for example, a lot of large hospitals, their revenue cycle department is offsite. It's not at the hospital. So that gives you hope too. It's just finding out where that is and if you could at least drop off your resume, right? But just taking the initiative, finding a way to stand out, putting a face with a name, shaking a hand, because there's so much online activity going on right now. We're just dumb to it. We're just like everybody on LinkedIn, like you get spam all the time, you get in-mails all the time. So it's like you don't really take them serious, right? But somebody going above and beyond in space, those people are standing out in today's market for sure.
I think so. And that's where I was just thinking about uh, looking at resumes or looking online
Hmm.
things or filling out an application. Hey, I still do it. I did it
Hmm.
recently. And I thought to my head, okay, I know where this is going. It's going to an HR representative and it's getting some AI or speech recognition is going to look at my background and keywords and key projects and key information. And they're going to make a decision on that. And it's maybe just an HR staff member, I don't know, of whether that's going to go to that hiring person or not.
Yeah.
That becomes troublesome when you don't feel like that's really presented yourself well. It knocks you out because it doesn't have certain keywords or certain things that they like.
Correct.
So you need to find, or I won't say need, I recommend, I don't want to say that,
Correct.
just as Bertram said, it may be a revenue cycle offsite. You know what? You can go online. All organizations have a great website. You can dig all you want. And sometimes it's very easy to find oh, wait a second, who's the CEO, CFO, who's the director of him management. They'll have them right there. Here's your
Yeah.
number. And you can contact these folks, supervisor of coding. It may be listed on their website and you may be able to contact them. Now, come on, as a vendor, when I got those calls to HI management, yeah, I don't want to pay attention to,
Correct.
okay, this
Correct.
is, what are you selling me? Whatever. No, no, no. That's not what your purpose is. It may be something how you can find the right fit and network to find the right person. And doing those types of things will, maybe you get your hung up on, maybe you get door, but you know what? It only takes one and it's
Yes. Yes.
one door
Yes.
to open. It doesn't take multiple ones.
Hey,
And
I have to I gotta pause this right here because
yeah,
Craig came in and chimed in with the joke. It had to be you, Craig, because he said he would eat all the cookies before you even got there. Craig, love it. Thank you so much for joining the roundup. But yeah, and also to note, a candidate going with a resume is going to be treated very differently than a vendor staffing organization because they're already targeting and making calls and they likely even know some of these people.
yeah,
But as a candidate, you're going to be treated very differently than a vendor or somebody trying to sell something, and you're
right.
not really selling anything but yourself. Hopefully being able to work with them, because I've realized that usually when we're more entry level, we're doing the online applications and such. But,
Yeah,
Jeff, at our level, are we usually applying online? No, it's through network. It's through a person that knows somebody and you're asking because you know the right people. And we talked about some of the conversations and how you manage your week when you're in between assignments. And from that, it will usually, drum up opportunities. But
right.
one key word that's been ringing a lot as of recent has been denials. You
Yeah.
know, so I wanted to ask you from a management standpoint, like, are denials really that big of a thing? Is it really hard to work with payers? I mean, what's your spin on denials?
Well, there are huge.
Okay.
Just the last three, just to give you a little background, of all my experience, I've been doing interim directorships for the last four hospitals. And one of the areas when you start talking about revenue cycle, the areas that are hitting hard, and when they start looking at where's our bleeding, where are we losing money, where are we not collecting money, where is our revenue not working, why aren't we getting that money collected? One of those areas, large areas, denials and denial
Hmm.
management. Um, One of my CFOs of the last place I was at said he went to meetings or to online, and this is CFOs from all around the country.
Hmm.
And they asked this expert or subject matter expert, what is the largest thing a CFO has on their plate that could make a difference?
Hmm.
And one of them basically said denials management. period.
Mm.
He said, as long as you've got something in place to look at your denials and to understand where they're coming from, what type of things and fixes you need. We talked about the revenue cycle where it's the front end. It's about registration, scheduling,
Mm-hmm.
uh, looking for medical necessity when a procedure is done in an office or a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we losing? All the way to coding in the mid cycle, I would say the mid cycle to coding and say, okay, are our codes falling out? Are we getting coding errors? Are we getting coding errors where the coding accuracy starts? And not only coding accuracy, but understanding that every insurer or every payer has
Pair.
their
Yep.
own set of rules, that may or may not be aware of,
Mm-hmm.
that is not, that clear to say, okay, it's an insurance company or well, you may not be aware, but in the accounting office or in the CFO or somewhere, there's a contract with that payer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that contract will really spell out things that they will or will not pay for, and they'll run
Yes.
up against edits. And it's like, well, my coding's right. There isn't something wrong, but that's not the question. Sometimes it's you have to battle. That's where denial management comes in. You're
Correct.
battling on coding, correct coding and guidelines. You're battling on medical necessity, which
Mm-hmm.
may be part of that. So those areas for HIM are part of coding, and to do denial management when especially it's a coding quote coding error, which
Yes.
those are big challenges sometimes.
And we also have, I think you mentioned on a conversation, timely filing, but
Yes.
that doesn't always result in timely payment. that's
No.
that's the mystery right now. So what I am referring to, ladies and gentlemen, is that coding, everything can be there, nothing's going to be denied, claim has been accepted, but now the payer insurer is taking longer than their contracted time to pay. So, hospital again, spent money, patients out, whatever, but they're still waiting on these claims to come back and the payments to come back way past that contracted time. So it's a very hard time, but one thing I want to be clear about is I am not all about gloom and doom. I'm not all about the bad news. I'm not all about we're going to be in a recession, depression. Just because the economy's in a recession, whatever, doesn't mean that you have to. Somebody can be broke and somebody can win the lotto in the same day. Like so. But just to be cognizant of that, if you do reach out and if you are trying to get in with an employer right now at some of these large facilities or even small ones, that HIM manager's neck might be on the line because of some of the issues that they're having in their revenue cycle. And it may not even be necessarily something that they did. One quick story, one client I was assisting and we talked to them, we got a proposal, all of these things. And the main person doing their coding was not credentialed. Not a big issue, but what about their productivity and what about their accuracy? Accuracy was not that great because their business office was actually correcting the coding. Once again, none of those folks were credentialed. And one of the first things we talked to them about was accuracy and getting a credentialed person in place, managing and auditing that person, educating and doing all of that stuff. Not only that, though, but the reason why that coder that wasn't credentialed was doing the coding is because she's been with the facility forever and a day. So can we repurpose that person? Or maybe can we help them go to the business office and still be involved somewhat, but not be the person doing it because they're paying this person just as anybody else, but it wasn't fruitful because they had to correct a lot of what that person was doing. So, you know, understanding the dynamics of a facility and what the stresses that they're going through can help us, but it also can help you propose how you can, be of a great potential hire or fit for them as well.
Very good point.
Yeah, yeah. So I know we talked also about resources, and you're one person that's very knowledgeable about where people should go and the articles and things that they can pay attention to, even
Hmm.
maybe podcasts and things that they can pay attention to,
Yes.
so they can be more in the know. And this is the thing, a lot of folks, and we're gonna have a question about this a little bit later. Well, Bertram, I want to post more on LinkedIn, right? I want to seem and show more of my subject matter expertise, but does that mean that I have to drum up everything? Does that mean that I have to like go read all of these books and take all these classes? Not necessarily, but even if you did all of that and you had your doctorate, right? how are you going to keep up to the speed of information and what's going on? And
Right.
Jeff, you share with me a list of fantastic resources that, you know, maybe people here may not even know about, that they can start chiming in and paying attention to some of these resources to learn more about the industry.
Yeah. Well, there's the basics. I mean, from where I came from, my organization as an RHIA is AHIMA, Christ,
Okay,
American Health Information Management Association.
okay,
For coders, they may go from that, or they may go from AAPC,
correct,
Association of Professional Coders. Now we can start going down the line. Those are some organizations that are part and parcel to maybe your particular certification.
correct.
Um,
So I'll say at
but
the top. Hmm.
yeah, so we're at the top. We're kind of at the top of the tree. Now we're going to spread out and go into different areas.
Yes,
Um, we think, there's resources out there. Of course, we talk a lot about payers. What's
yes.
the number one payer in hospitals? Medicare. Okay.
Mm,
Medicare for a lot of smaller ones, that's your number one payer. Well, they got a lot of information.
mm,
MedLearn is the name of one of their newsletters. Uh,
mm.
CMS in themselves, you hear CMS, well, what is that? Okay, it's the, excuse me, Medicare and CMMS as Medicaid included in that. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid is distributed state by state. It's not federal as much as state for Medicaid. So,
Okay,
but Medicare is federal and
federal. Yep.
always going to it's pretty consistent throughout the states. But then you throw in things like the FI. Okay, what's the FI? I like to get in the alphabet soup here with resources and that's what we have, a lot of alphabet soup because, Lord, we're in healthcare. I don't know too many other organizations that have many more acronyms than we do. Uh,
Correct.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
individuals have run out of space on
yeah,
their name because they have
yeah,
so many credentials. So,
exactly.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
FI, what does that stand for? Fiscal intermediary. So you have ones through in that time. They have a lot of resources and information. Uh, Wisconsin's one, for the local, and in there you have Wisconsin Physician Services,
Yep.
WPS. They're wide range. They take care of a lot of payments for Medicare, and they have their rules too. Now there's following Medicare, of course, rules, but you never know when you get through FIs and you hear things like racks and max and what are all these, and different things. But they also have resources. They're not just regulatory folks. They also send out newsletters and informational things. And, it's just good to go online and look at some of that stuff.
Mm,
Um, and then you have regulatory agencies like and accreditation surveys. Maybe the hospitals, if you're unaware, a lot of them want to be accredited. Well, this is
mm-hmm.
voluntary, but there's a lot of organizations do that. One is TJC. You hear about it. I always know it as JACO, Joint Commission on Accreditation of Hospitals.
Mm,
Another really good information about standards and criteria within the hospital and or a healthcare organization, not necessarily a hospital, clinics, rehab, LTACs. There's another one. Long-term, and acute facilities. There's a lot of information from them. HFAP was another one. A lot of I just got off an Indiana call. Here's another resource. Uh, it's called HIM Group, but it's only for Indiana. But I even sent Bertram information. You and your state or your local group, besides even having a state organization with health information management, you may have a group that meets. We do at least quarterly, every few
yes.
months, and have a great list of topics that you really learn. And it's free. You can get on these. I'm talking about things you don't have to pay for. You don't have to get on. You can just get organized with finding these groups and getting on their webcasts or meetings that they may do. And this is one of them. So I really, really enjoy this one. It goes almost 2 hours.
Yes.
See, the person that's the head of it used to be the AHIMA president at one time, and she's very, very knowledgeable. And she just coordinates all the directors from large and small facilities within Indiana regarding what's going on. And we have agenda, what's going on. Usually we're not talking necessarily about hiring, but you find out a lot about information about what's going on in your particular state or just what's going on in general in HIM within facilities. And that's great knowledge. To me, it is because if there's anything I grow and have been saying, I still got stuff to learn because when I stop learning, then I stop growing. And I hopefully never stop that yearn to learn.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things, and what that really shows us is, I know for me, a lot of things that are advertised to me have to do with the associations that we have, right? Like I said, almost like the two motherships, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of resources, and I know we haven't had them yet, but I'm going to be bringing on, we will be bringing on more folks that have more subject matter expertise as when it comes to like Medicare and Medicaid. And if
Yeah.
you're on LinkedIn, you've probably seen Betty or one of their posts just about like all of those things that are changing and how that's a never changing changing world. So I wanted to go really quickly to the comments, and I wasn't too sure. We may be having some technical difficulties. Somebody shared with me, messaged me privately that they may not be able to comment. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but definitely let us
Sure.
know. Not sure about what the head count is. That's okay. But what about any questions? I'd love for us to see if we can
Yeah.
ask Jeff a question or two live while we have them. And I mean, it's been great having you on here so far. And I feel like with the speaker time that we have, it's really not enough to give you justice. But I mean, we can go for hours. It can just go on forever because we're here and we just have so much knowledge. So if you haven't already, I would highly recommend each and every one of you to connect with Jeff. If something was meaningful or whatever, feel free to just ping a little message or in that and just let him know. A connection request is absolutely fine, okay? Because those in mails are what you want to say for those hire managers and the subject matter experts that you can't get a hold of. But Jeff, I believe you're a pretty open networker. So if somebody sends you a connection
Yeah.
request, you can connect. So save those in mails. But yeah, Jeff, anything you would like to just say in closing and to kind of leave us off with?
Well, I was going to ask about question and answers, or if they wanted to ask me anything either online or maybe we'll save that for offline. But
Yes,
resources like that, again, I can't push that enough. As I shared with you about webinars, things of learning, monitor Mondays, ICD 10 Tuesdays. These are
yes,
done every week on Monday and Tuesday. Anybody
yes.
can join. It's free. You find out so much good information, and there's private vendors. I've always liked that Omega Healthcare. I'll name some. Actually,
That's fine. Yeah,
I don't. They have free webinars, and they're good about whether you want to learn more about coding and what's the new what. Oh gosh, I know it's changed here in October for ICD 10 or in January for CPT coding. Well, they give good resources and webinars, and they're free. So it's not like you're going out there paying, oh gosh, I got to pay for this, got to pay for that. No, ROI is another area. Now we're getting off on that release of information. MRO, Verisma, these are companies that provide for free educational webinars that I just enjoy. And the reason I'm scouting out those two or three is because you always get ones that have there's kind of a difference between okay, it's educational versus oh, it's a sell. It's a of information,
correct.
and they are not. And I mean, I've had those, and they're strictly for educational purposes.
There
Now,
you
if
go.
you start it with saying 5 minutes of here's what we do, here's what we're good at, but no, that's not the basis of 30 or 60 minutes. So
Exactly, exactly.
so anyway, I just want you to know those are resources that you really can be helpful to you in finding a job and knowing what's going on out there.
So we did have a couple questions. One is from one we have is what is a webinar that we can join? So Jeff, if you may have time after
Yeah,
you signed off the video, if you might be able to put the names that we can
yes,
Google and search, or if you may have any links
I will
as
do
to
that.
some of those that you've mentioned.
Sure.
The second one is what about ageism? Jeff, have you experienced ageism, or how do you view ageism in the workplace? I mean, you have lovely light blonde hair. How would you
Great.
how would you approach it? I was being
I
how
know
can I
you're being
say?
facetious. Okay, go ahead. I got yellow on, so it matches
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Ageism. I guess on my end, yeah, I think so. Uh, when you're older versus younger, I think
Hmm.
either side, even middle aged, and I guess I say I'm just barely approaching middle aged. Which is not true, but anyway, uh, it just depends on your attitude. And yes, have I experienced it? Darn right, I've experienced it.
Mm,
4 years ago. And it's all about the company's position of where they're at. What do they want to do? It's the culture of the company. It's the
culture.
culture of what are they looking for, and what is the need for that particular position. And
Hmm.
if they look at somebody and say, they got more experience than they want, you can be overqualified. Frankly, I think I would be for certain jobs, certainly
Hmm.
entry level jobs. But if I want to do coding and that's all I wanted to do, maybe I'd do that. But I know I'd run against, well, gosh, no, I don't think we need to pay. It's about the pay. So entry level versus moving up the ladder and being in management, there's different ways you can be aged out, so to speak, if you want to,
Correct. Correct.
different ways. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think how I would approach it, and we can even mention about race or anything like that. It comes down to that corporate culture, and
yeah,
we can get we can huff and puff, and we can, oh, it's illegal, or whatever, whatever. But at the
yeah,
same time, as Jeff mentioned, like, do you want to work for that type of organization? Because it's not just them accepting you, it's them appreciating you. And you always want to be where you're going to be appreciated and thrive. And I mean, if I had Jeff come into my organization and he can help, I would probably appreciate your gray hair, sir, because that means like you've probably been through some stuff and you can help us out. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to put in the time and any of that stuff. That's more than just age. And on the other side, we may even have some folks that are younger and not even willing to put in the work. So, it's it's a double-edged sword. But what I would say is I wouldn't let it put me down.
no,
Deborah, that did come in, she mentioned something about birthdays when she's filling out applications. um,
yeah,
I wouldn't. I would be truthful in me putting in application. Like if I'm putting an application, and I'll tell you why. Is because usually your online application goes directly and fuels your employee profile. It's going to help them run your background check, all of those things.
yeah,
If I can't speak for any employer, but if they're going to use that to age and like tell the age of people and, hey, I want to hire this person and not that person, once again, you do not want to work for that organization. You want to be appreciated. You do not want to be tolerated. So, be yourself. You probably don't want to put 40 years of experience on a resume, of course not, but you want to show that you do know what you know, and you bring a lot to the table. And I think what probably Jeff and how you would probably do it versus anything is like you've been through some things, and you guys are having trouble with denials, and like I can help you out with that, but I can tell you what's going to happen on the other side of that, and this is coming and this is coming.
hmm
So from our experience, we don't just see the immediate problem that they're having. We have experience with other multiple problems, and we can help alleviate that. And that's where that experience comes in. So if you're working with an organization and they can't appreciate that, then I mean that's really up to them. But you know, we've got so much from what you share with us. I mean, this was even mind blowing. We talked recently, but still, I learned a lot on this. Misty just chimed in and she said, "A lot of this wisdom is worth its weight in gold." Jeff, you are certainly worth your weight in gold with your
I
yellow shirt or gold shirt.
don't know about that.
I really appreciate you, and yeah. So if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, send Jeff a connection request. Really appreciate him. I mean, this is an individual that you cannot pay for them to come and share and speak to help us understand more about what they're dealing with and what the pain point of facilities are. You can even from this conversation, I can tell you, you can go into a job interview and you can talk about some denials and some payers, and people, they're going to be like, wow, like you don't have experience, but you like, I haven't had any entry level people
No,
talk about this kind of stuff. And ask them like what is your DNFB like, what's your length of
no,
stay? They're gonna be like, oh, Who am I talking to? Are you a vendor? Like, but like, no, I want to know because I want to help. And like, you
That's right.
know, having these conversations and understanding the lingo is going to help you out so much. So, Jeff, I have to let you go.
That's
We
fine.
are already at the 50th minute on the hour. So, really appreciate you. And we'll connect after. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind for at least a live, just put in a few of
I will.
the webinars or links to the places that you mentioned or the titles so we can go and we can search for them. That'd be fantastic. But Jeff, thank you so much.
You're
It's been
welcome.
great speaking with you.
Great.
And Patricia also would like to chime in and says, and we had other people do that as well, seeing that it's been fantastic. So thank
Well,
you, Jeff. I'll see you and
great.
I'll talk to you very very soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. All right. So wow, like mind blown. There's just so much information that we did learn from Jeff, and this is what it's all about. It's all about networking and connecting with people. And Jeff is going to go ahead and he's going to chime back in and share some more about some of the things that he attends and what's important to him. And what I love to do strategically is I love to follow these individuals and see where they're going, what they're doing, because that's going to help us realize where those decision makers are going. So Jeff and the information that he shared has just been real priceless. So thank you so much again, Jeff. Okay. Cool. So this is the jobs hour. This is where we're going to show a few highlights on jobs. I will have to speed through this a little quickly, but what you can do, each and every one of you, is you can come back to this recording and you can pause it. So you can find out exactly who the person that posted it or the hiring manager is. One of them we have, I believe, an email address. Another job that we have is going to have a phone number on there. So that is that is gold in itself. We're talking about gold and just yellow shirt. Like that is gold in itself. Like that is going to allow you to reach out to that person directly with your application or find out how you can apply or if they're firm about their years of experience that they require. So it's really hard because everywhere right now it's an online application. It's an online application, but if somebody gives you a phone number, somebody gives you an email, like wow, like you can just go straight to the source and find out. Okay, so here we go. So the first three that we have is we have a quality improvement coordinator with Centera Health. So I saw that Belita posted this one. You can definitely connect with her, but also this job is posted on LinkedIn. So you can search by the employer and you can search by the posting. By the time that this is posted or we've had this live call, I don't know if these jobs are still available, but at least you have a contact that is working for or promoting a employer, so that is another thing. You want to connect with that person. You want to see how they can help you get your application. Maybe you don't apply online. Maybe you ask them if they can hand your resume to the hiring manager. Build a relationship with that individual. Renowned individuals do this. So that's one. We have another one from Lachey, a patient access representative. Once again, you have the employer VCU Health. I did get the permission to post these just as a little heads up, and that one is also posted on LinkedIn. And then we have from Macy Turner. So she's with Medics, and this is a direct hire. It's a position for RCM managers. I believe it is in Texas. I thought she posted a few positions. So if you haven't already, I would likely recommend for you to connect with Macy Turner for her RCM manager positions. And just check with her if, as she says here, some are fully on site with some hybrid opportunity in the future. So that's something that you can do. Okay. Here's what I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We have the HCC coding. HCC coding season is upon us. And what I mean by HCC coding, a lot of you may have um, you know, your CCA, right? Or you may have your CPC and you're wondering about how you can get experience. Now, a lot of these employers will not tell you, but some of them are very flexible in their years of experience because they will usually do training from the ground up. Sometimes they would have you start with them part-time. Sometimes the pay is going to be, just the lowest pay ever, kind of thing. But ladies and gentlemen, what you have to realize is that once you get your hands on some experience, no one can take it away from you. And what I mean by that is if I was a CPCA and I apply to all these jobs and no one's giving me a job opportunity, what I am going to do, I'm going to start applying to these HCC coding positions. Hey, Bertram, we need you to work nights and weekends. I'll talk to the wife and kids and I need to work nights and weekends. And what they would usually do is, and this is in group hiring, they usually don't just hire one or two HCC coders. These employers usually hire dozens, if not hundreds of HCC coders. And they are essentially trimming the fat. They are working through who's going to work their schedule, who's going to meet production, who's going to meet accuracy, who's going to put in the time, who's going to be manageable, who's going to be coachable. And you're just doing what you can. So somebody has chimed in and said that HCC jobs usually require experience, but I am telling you, there are some employers that are flexible, and I haven't seen them just yet. But some of these employers are going to go ahead and just say like let's go, because I did career coaching. I don't do career coaching right now because it was just a lot on my plate, as well as trying to manage the business and everything. But I did some career coaching, and there was this company that hired HCC coders without prior experience. You just need your credential and work the schedule and stuff, and we were able to help her get hired. We were able to have her just spearhead straight straight to the recruiter. That recruiter put her in, and she was able to get started. So I know that not all HCC coding positions are flexible on their requirements, but that's the thing. You're never going to know unless you try and unless you apply. Okay, you're never going to know. Okay, um, so this is from Stephen Gore. Feel free to reach out to him and connect with him on LinkedIn. He also has his phone number here, this 858 number. I would highly encourage you to see if they're flexible. And as I said, this is just one of many opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. You have to realize like we're going to have a whole bunch of HCC coding positions coming. This one, the pay is at $28 an hour, but you know what? Some of those more entry level positions, maybe the pay is at 25, maybe even lower than that. But for those that are trying their best to get going in coding, these are fantastic opportunities. They're usually remote. They're usually training remote. They'll send you a computer. It's an amazing opportunity. Okay, so hopefully Stephen can help. If he cannot, tune into the next time that we'll have the roundup, and stay tuned for those HCC coding positions because that's going to be a great opportunity to get your first position and get that experience. Okay, all right. Changing the format here a little bit. We got some more, of course. So we have a Shauna. Uh, we have Shauna. She's hiring remote coders and billers, and she also has her email address here. We also have Brett, and he is hiring for a couple opportunities. So he's hiring for a manager, senior manager in his client's department with DaVita. He's also hiring a certified risk adjustment coder. Great thing about this is you're working directly with Brett, and he is a VP of compliance, and this will help you get in. And he's like, just send me your resume directly. He's not asking you to go to a link. I think I saw one that he did have the link there, but he's just allowing you to message him directly. That's priceless. Even if it doesn't turn out to a position immediately, just staying in touch with that person, maybe something in the near future would be a great fit and would be fantastic. Okay, so once again, if you still needed time to like get on these jobs and opportunities, find out who these people are, find them on LinkedIn. You can come back to this recording and the same link that you're on right now, and you can pause it, and then you can search and you can find these individuals. Okay, fantastic. All right, so for Ask Mr. B, today the question that I received prior was watching one of your videos, currently employed as in a billing role, but wanted to keep throwing myself out there. I suggested for folks that are open to opportunities to post regularly that they're looking for opportunities at least 3 times a week. Okay. Um, but she was worried or concerned about putting her job at risk. What if my manager sees that I'm open for opportunities? Okay. And this is where all the fantastic resources and associations and meetings that Jeff talked about and shared with us earlier is going to come into play, because one of the things that I love about social media is that you don't have to essentially put all your business out there. You don't have to say that you're looking for opportunities, but opportunities can come to you if you regularly post, or reshare, let's say for Becker's, for example, if you reshare something from AHIMA, the APC, you're sharing these articles. And there's something going on, I'm just going to touch on really quickly, called quiet hiring. What is quiet hiring? Quiet hiring is when a manager or somebody in a hiring decision starts to engage with people outside of their organization. And what they're doing is that as they touch these individuals and as they are like just, not touching, I shouldn't have said that. As they're contacting these individuals and as they're networking with them, they try to see and find out who may be available for opportunities and if they may be a good fit for their organization. And before you know it, hey, Jeff, love to talk to you as of recent, or I saw you on the roundup. I have a facility in this location and we are in help. Our denials is through the roof. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a coder, but I know that we need help. Can you come through? And privately, you respond back and you're like, yeah, I can possibly help. What are you looking to do? And how can we work together? And we go from there. So putting yourself out there on LinkedIn doesn't always have to be, I need a job. It can essentially be also for you to just post something regularly or to share what other people are doing or job opportunities that they're doing. What is the point? The point is you want to stand out. Statistics show only less than 1% of people actually post on LinkedIn, meaning 99% of people online are usually lurkers. Think about it. For those that are on Facebook or TikTok or any of these social media platforms, do you post daily? No, but what do? You go to your phone and you see what the world is doing. You're lurking, right? We're all lurking. A lot of us lurk. I lurk a lot of times, right? But my whole point is what you're able to do is you're able to help establish some subject matter expertise and also lift yourself up a little bit. Victoria Mole, the social media whiz and guru of our organ of you know of our industry has come through, and she said LinkedIn has a setting for open to network that only shows to recruiters or employers. This is touchy because I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that or you can't do that, but I don't know if it's only available to recruiters. Why would I say that? Because I am a recruiter, so when I look, I see that stuff, but I don't know if, for example, recruiters of their organization or if their manager can see that. I don't exactly know, but there is something that does show that. Now, the recruiters and folks like myself, we have something that we pay for on the back end of LinkedIn that helps us to recruit. And there is something that we can do. Let's say we're searching for a medical coder in Sarasota, Florida. So, Sarasota, Florida, fantastic. And then what we can do is we can filter by people that are open and available for opportunities. I've done that in the past, and that's helped me get hundreds of hires. And it's not that you're just picking up from like loose fruit or just candidates that are sitting, but in our industry, a lot of contracts are terming or things are just happening, and people are just an after effect of that. So I also use that. But LinkedIn does have a feature that you can show people that you're open for opportunities. Um, Sarah says here that it does show it to all. So I don't exactly know, but maybe they should work on. We can have this displayed, but it won't show to your last five or so employers. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that we can suggest to LinkedIn. Okay. All right. I did have one more question that I saw. Can anyone recommend which certification would be a good starting point? Now, if somebody wants to connect with Rachel on this offline, that would be fantastic. But what I would say is, if you're looking at a certification, especially within our industry, I would say it's more about what is your goal and what is your focus. And what I mean by that is, just for me to go and say, hey, I see that the CCS is very popular. I'm going to go through AHIMA and get the CCS. That might not necessarily apply to what's my skill set or what I would like to do. Jeff, that was with us most recently, he has his RHIA. A lot of folks that have the RHIA, a 4-year degree, are in management. So that aligns very well with what he wanted to do. We are not saying that if you only have a CCA, a CCS, that you can't be a director and all these things. I've seen all those titles and all those credentials in all titles, but usually they are fueled and they may be requirements for certain positions. So what I would do is I would backtrack and I would go to the AHIMA career map and I'll look at what job ideally I like to do. Also look 5 years in the future, what job you like to do after that one, and then that will likely tell you or guide you as to what you like to do, because there's so many ways you can go in this industry. You can stay in coding, you can go into case management, you can be an RN, you can do CDI, you can do risk. There's so many things, and especially with the AAPC, I give the AAPC some love too. Craig was on here earlier. The AAPC has a lot of different specialties and a lot of different certifications based on those specialties. So it's going to help all of us to make sure and try for us to focus on those. So those will be the questions that I'll touch on today. If there are additional questions or things that you would like to ask Mr. B, perhaps have your question featured on the next roundup that we're having, feel free to reach out and send me a LinkedIn message. Okay. All right. So now we are going to do the talent or candidate showcase. So this is going to be a way for you to introduce yourself in the comments using the format that I've shown as of recent. And feel free to make connections. LinkedIn Live is awesome because what it does is it takes note of everybody who's joined these the live recordings. I don't believe it saves who've joined after, but at least the live recordings, it shares them. And let's say it's like, oh, Jeff, I don't remember his last name. What is his last name? He's going to be on there as an attendee. So you can go and you can find Jeff. Of course, we have his name here as well. But there's going to be a section on the page that will show that these are the folks that attended it live. Okay. Follow up with an email or LinkedIn message as you connect with that person, and just stay in touch, because share an article, share something that you thought would be useful for them, or hey, Jeff, thank you so much for sharing this with me, because of that I'm now a part of this and I'm learning about this, and this has just been great and fantastic. So this was a great resource. So just being able to network and share opportunities is a great thing that you can do offline or in private. So I'm not going to go too high within the comments because you know it may take forever in a day, but what I will do is I will start to highlight some folks that I see. Okay, so I'm starting from Heather Tillman. Okay, so Heather Tillman would like to share that she's a candidate. She has her COCA, and she has her email address. Okay, this is another individual that is looking for entry-level position in healthcare coding. Okay, and they're in Illinois. So if you can hire a CPCA in Illinois, this is their information. So we have Patricia. So Patricia is new, but has been going to schooling and doing schooling for the last couple of years. Has CCSP, and there is Patricia's email address. Okay. So we have Rivka. My apologies. Hopefully I said that correctly. Trained in both inpatient and outpatient coding. She would prefer to start out doing inpatient coding. Has her CPCA sitting for the CCS. This is an awesome opportunity because in a month or two, this person is going to have their CCS and be ripe for the picking. I know a lot of employers are looking for those folks with their CCS, but you know what happens? By the time they have their CCS, they become expensive because everybody wants that person that has their CCS. So Zarifka may be a fantastic individual to reach out to that is interested in inpatient coding and will likely have their CCS. Okay. We have Jennifer here as well. So Jennifer is in Texas and has 30 plus years of experience at the manager or director level. So Jennifer included her phone as well as her email address. So great. This is what it's all about. So we have Samantha here, CPCA, looking for entry-level position located in Texas, and this is Samantha's email address. We have Sarah. Sarah, so nice to see you. I connected with Sarah on a proposal for a client that we were working on in Texas. I guess Texas is a popular state today. She is a certified revenue cycle specialist, okay, and has done many things. Sarah, I'm not sure if I saw your email address. I may need to ask you to come back and to and share that with us. But yeah, thank you. So I'm going through the comments right now. So I have Kathy here. She's in California, has CCSP, and yeah, has a lot of healthcare experience. Okay, we have another candidate. So working in New York for medical centers. This is their email address. This is a process lead at this time. Has her CCS. This is fantastic. Candidate from North Carolina, 10 years in healthcare, newly certified CPCA, open to positions, including remote work. And there's Sarah. Sarah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So here's Sarah's email address. Okay. All right. I appreciate you as well for staying on and sharing. And that's the thing. We don't all have to share our information. You can definitely be, you know, stealthier or like a sniper, as we talked about most recently, in terms of the opportunities and all of that stuff. We're just reaching out to people, and that is fantastic. So I appreciate all of you for staying on the roundup. More than happy to welcome any recruiters, any employers that would like to come on board or like to share that they're open for opportunities. Also, this may be a place that I may send to some recruiters and people that I know within my network that may be looking to hire folks. So really appreciate each and every one of you. All right. So our next roundup is scheduled on October 4th. That one is going to be geared more towards practice management, what that looks like, what that entails. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't signed up already, you definitely want to sign up on our website. So renowntalent.com/roundup. This is to get on our email list. Getting on the email list is going to be helpful to you because whenever we have updates or things that are relevant to make sure, for example, that you have the link and all that stuff, we're going to be emailing that out to you. If you do join or schedule a 10 on LinkedIn. I believe only LinkedIn will send you those reminders and calendar invites and such, but at least, we can do that as well. So I don't mind doing it if LinkedIn is doing it as well. But if we change format, let's say we take it off LinkedIn Live and we do it, I don't know, Zoom or something like that, I'll only really be able to go back and message everybody that was a part of our email list. But it's fantastic. And I always get asked this every time. Well, what about information? Is it going to get sold? No, we're too busy to sell information in email lists. I mean, even if we don't sign up for things, they happen to find our email lists or our emails, right? So that's not going to really be an issue. So let me go back at a couple more candidates that chimed in to share their experience, let them people know they're open for opportunities. So we have Sonia, once again in Texas. I guess I don't know. Texas is just a state right now. I don't know. She's open for opportunities. Thank you so much. She has her diploma in coding. And we also had Divine, a CPCA, looking for entry level opportunity. Remember, we shared that HCC coding position earlier. It did require or ask for experience, which you never know until you ask. So you can reach out to Stephen, email, um, text, call, LinkedIn message, and go from there. So I'm getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate each and every one of you. And once again, so if you have been successful after attending our LinkedIn lives and the roundup to getting placed, please let us know so you can help us to get to our goal of 100 people that have been hired. And if we're able to get 250 people on the live stream, I'm telling you, we can move this to weekly. There's so many individuals I want to bring to the table, but I am only limited by the amount of events that we can have. Maybe that's the whole thing and some of the pressures that the associations are facing. But since this is free, and since we can just attend this using our phone or our laptop in the middle of the week, I don't see why we can't get to 250 attendees. So if this is meaningful to you, share with your network, let people know that this is where people are gathering. It's not just recruiters, it's not just sales, it's not just entry level coders, it's a little bit of everything and everyone. I do know that we have some people traveling or they're at conferences this week. So some of my usual regulars are not here today, but you know what? They're going to come back to this recording. And last but not least, I'd just like to share with you my whole motto and my whole thing is to be renowned. Why did you call your company Renowned Talent? Okay. I called it Renowned Talent is because I've realized one of the biggest differentiators between people who do fantastic and well in life is that they are renowned in what they do. So let's say you're the janitor at the hospital. You better be the best janitor. Like when people go to work the days that you work, when they go to the bathroom, they want to sleep on the floor kind of thing. It's just that clean. It's just that spick and span. A lot of folks are going into jobs and they're thinking, you know what, this isn't the really like dream job that I want. So, I'm not going to really do my best. I can tell you when I was hitting the wall for 3 years and I couldn't get in, what helped me was the crappiest, lowest paying job that I was working in on my team, you know, only one with a degree kind of thing, is that I did my best, my job to the best of my abilities. That put me apart. So when I talked to somebody in confidence about my challenges in finding a recruiting position, they referred me to their husband, and their husband referred me straight to the hiring manager. No application, no fill out this, no what's your age, just that individual. And why was that? And I talked to them after that all happened, and they said, well, Bertram, you were just really passionate and you're good at your job, and I felt that you were a good enrollment coordinator, so you can be a good recruiter. They were considering what I wanted to do based on how I did things. So if you are not in renown in what you're doing, if your boss is giving you shade, if your boss is telling you that you're not going to do this, believe me, I had my boss tell me directly to my face at the time, Bertram, you will not be a recruiter. And I realized they were blocking any and all efforts and chances that I was trying to do internally in that organization. That's absolutely fine because you know what? God, Allah, Muhammad, whatever, like Buddha, that person had a vision for me to leave that organization and do great things within HIM. First year, a peak performer, one trips to go to Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and it's been a whirlwind. Married the, girl of my dreams, love at first sight kind of thing. Like all this came to pass because I just stayed true and I did the best at what I was going to do. When I was just a recruiter, before I was a recruiting manager, director, I was the best recruiter that I can be. As a director, the best director I can be. Now, running my own agency, I'm running it to the best of my abilities. I don't take a day off or necessarily say, oh, today I'm going to slack because, I'm tired. And no, like I'm working with my son, he's in first grade, and he's like, Dad, like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? I said, son, Jude, this is our standard. We don't just do things haphazardly. And what I want to set precedent for him is that not like we're not going to play, not like we're going to have fun, not like we're going to go to the theme parks. But the thing is that if people get to know you for being average, they're not going to give you the opportunities to be renowned and to do great things. You do not want to be known as average. You do not want to be known as average. I said, when we travel and when we could stay at this hotel, is this an average hotel? He's like, no. I said, is this an average buffet? He's like, no. Is this an average family vacation? We went to Europe last year. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, if you're average, you can't stay at those places. so we have to be renowned. We have to be the best that we can be. So if that can inspire you, or if that can at least change your mentality as to how you're doing things, then this roundup was enough for you. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to be signing off. This is Bertrand once again. Remember to be renowned or be forgotten, and we'll see you on the next roundup. Okay. Talk to you later. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.